We have come to Unit 3, Staffing, which is being continued for the simple reason that staffing is a critical function of the human resource function, because your inputs decide the output. If your input, which is nothing but staffing, is not pakka, then your output, that is productivity of the employees, will not be pakka. So, that is the reason we are focusing more on staffing function, for the simple reason that you get the right talent at the right time, at the right cost, and for the right job. In this chapter, we will come to know about the theory and application of job specification, what is recruitment and selection. Let us go to job specification in a much broader and detailed manner. A job specification is a statement of educational qualifications, specific qualities, level of experience, physical, emotional, technical and communication skills required to perform a particular job. It may also include, the general health, mental health, a level of intelligence, aptitude for numbers, memory, and the capacity to judge, and sometimes leadership skills, and the kind of flexibility the individual shows, the values and ethics he brings in or she brings in while doing the job, and the manners and creativity. All these things will give you a kind of a specification of a job which is required. So, what is the job to be done is job description, how it is to be done is job specification. If you see the job analysis, which is nothing but a combination of two things. One is job description, job title, job location, job summary, reporting relationships, working conditions, what are the duties, what are the missions to be used, tools and techniques to be used, what are the occupational hazards to which person might be exposed to. These are all coming under job descriptions. When it comes to job specification, it gives focus on qualifications, experience, training, skills, responsibilities. I mean to say, it is a duty of using X mission. What is the responsibility? X mission shall be used as per the manual given. He should not use it, according to his whims and fancies. So, responsibility is upkeeping of the mission, maintaining the mission, sometimes doing some small repairs of the mission, and ensuring that when there is a problem, it is being reported. Okay, that is what is called responsibility. And emotional characteristics, sensory demands, you should be able to view clearly, hear clearly the sounds. Suppose a machine is making a typical sound which is indicator of a good working, but that typical sound is missing and there is some disturbance in the machine, then you will be able to understand that one and indicate and inform the concerned people to repair the machine. So, these are all the various ways in which you show your responsibility and being sensitive to certain things. If you look at the job specification in a way which is going to help you get the right candidate, it must help first of all the organization which is recruiting people, so that the right recruitment takes place. Job specification helps candidates analyze whether or not they are eligible to apply for a particular vacancy. Suppose you have notified a vacancy in the social media or in the print media or in the employment exchange, whatever you call it. By reading that job specification, a candidate must screen himself. Yes, I am fitting into that. No, I am not fitting into that. Even if I apply, I may not get called for an interview. Forget about selection. First of all, calling for an interview or a test may not happen. So, persons will not apply, which means a good job specification will enable the persons to screen themselves and apply. What level of qualifications, qualities, set of characteristics should be present in the candidate will be known well in advance by the persons who are interviewing the candidate. So, in the interview process, what happens when a first short list of candidates was called for an interview or a test. Once the test is conducted, then when the interview is being conducted, this document will help them understand and assess the candidate shortlisted or qualified in the test for the job. A detailed information on job responsibilities, desired technical and physical skills, conversational abilities are listed in the job specification. So, if the person is not able to assert himself or explain certain things, then that person might have been qualified in the written test, but he fails miserably in communicating what he wanted to communicate. So, a job specification must have essential attributes, skill, knowledge and abilities, I mean to say attitudes also, desirable attitudes. Okay. Then contra indicators, as I mentioned earlier, contra indicators may be the indicators which would prevent a person from getting selected. Say for example, one more example I would like to give you is that a person who has worked in a particular activity, or he has been an active member of a trade union, okay, and he is being selected for a job which requires his continuous presence. This particular experience of being an active trade union member might help as a contra indicator, because if a person is taken, he might again indulge in union activities and he might seek time out, apply for job leave, and he may not be present in the job as required. So, a contra indicator may be an indicator which is not favoring a person to get selected. Okay. Now, let us understand some of the other aspects of job specifications. Okay. He must be hardworking. As I mentioned to you, a unionized employee, an employee who has been active in the union activities, trade union activities, will have certain other ambitions, desires. Okay. He may be hardworking, but he may not be consistent. He may be a hard worker. There are many people who are hard workers, but they have also have other ambitions, aspirations to become leaders for the workmen and fight for the workmen and things like that. So, you cannot have cake and eat it too. I mean to say, you cannot have two different aspirations. One is career aspiration, other one is leadership aspiration to become a union leader in the workers union. He must be punctual, physically presentable. I mean to say, sometimes what happens when foreigners are visiting your plant, when people are not keeping their personal hygiene well. Suppose a person who is supposed to explain to a foreigner in a simple English about the functioning of the machine, if his mouth is foul, giving a foul smell, I mean his teeth line is not kept well with tartar and things like that, the foreigner will not feel it pleasant to converse with the person. So, a person will have to present himself in a hygienic manner. He should show a cleanliness, physically clean and presentable kind of a thing. So, these are all the aspects which a job description will not be able to talk about, but a job specification will talk about. Okay. Able to modeling, and he should be able to actively participate in cultural activities like dancing for social media, promotion of products, including music videos, concerts. These are all certain things. For example, a salesperson must be able to have, he must show some artistic skills. These are all the things which are extra required as desirable sometimes, or sometimes as essential. he should be good at sales, good telephone mannerisms he should be able to show, and he should be a good organizing skills. He must have plan meticulously, ensure that plan A is failing, plan B is ready, plan B is failing, plan C is ready. That is the kind of meticulous planning. And he should be able to mix many things. For example, if your product is requiring a kind of information about health, and a person must be knowing a basic knowledge about human anatomy. Suppose in a pharmaceutical company, generally people will be selected with BSc science, okay. But if a product is for immunity, to enhance the immunity, a person who is selling the product must understand the basics of immunity, how this product is going to enhance the immunity. For example, in a pandemic time, will that immunity really help in fighting various variants of corona or COVID variants, okay. So, that is the kind of a requirement sometimes a pharmaceutical company or a company which is producing immune enhancers. And a person should be able to love traveling, meeting new people, okay. Then all kinds of things which are all a requirement of a job, which are mentioned in the job specification, okay. What is recruitment? Okay, you have specified, you have described the job, you have specified what skills, requirements, attitudes, behaviors, all the kinds of things which I mentioned to you in the last slide, the specifications you have mentioned. Yes. Now, what is to be done now? Now, the major important job of a recruiter or a staffing person who is involving in talent acquisition is how do you sell your company, how do you sell the position. Your company has to be sold in a manner which is believable, and you have to sell the position in a manner which is going to be giving a huge response from the applicants. So, Filippo has defined recruitment as a process of searching for prospective candidates and stimulating and encouraging them to apply for the jobs in an organization. I would like to add further that it has to be a stimulating and encouraging description of the organization is also required now, because people would like to join the organizations which are known for certain ethical standards, values, principles, and which are being talked in the print media, electronic media or social media, where people would love to associate with that kind of a company. This is a company which I would like to. Tatas will have their own value system. Reliance will have its own value system, like Infosys. Then if you look at Hinduja Group, which has its own value system. So, there are typical groups which are operating with a brand value of their own. So, a recruitment process would be able to present the brand value of the employer, that is employer branding also happen through the recruitment. And process of actively seeking out, finding and hiring candidates for a specific job position. The recruitment definition includes the entire hiring process from inception to individual recruits integration into the organization. The process will certainly be a very comprehensive process, because the workforce is required for achieving the organizational objectives. So, the workforce must have the skills, attitudes and the knowledge to perform duties in a manner which is required, and it is both what part of the job and how part of the job. A person must be thoroughly equipped with understanding and awareness about it. So, that is what is the crux of the recruitment process and what is that recruitment is all about. The process of recruitment also include establishing clearly defined standards and expectations, taking proactive steps to integrate new employee, that is what is called onboarding, staying ahead of the latest trends and best practices in the recruitment. Suppose if you are recruiting a person and if you are sending one psychometric test well before asking the person to appear for an interview, asking him to fill it up online and submit it, then the company will have a different way of looking at the candidate. And sometimes you may not call the candidate also once you get the filled in questionnaire, because the questionnaire may not meet your requirement. The answers to the questionnaire, the responses to the questionnaire did not meet your requirement. Then you can simply say in an email saying that sorry, we were not able to go with your profile because you seem to be not having a compatibility with the role that is we are having currently vis-a-vis your skill sets. That kind of a very humane and practical and professional letter or an email communication to the candidate will make the candidate feel happy that yes, very genuine reason a company has expressed, so let me look forward to other jobs. So a company must feel that responsibility to communicate to the candidates that whether you are selected or the reason for not being selected, and it shall be communicated that because otherwise you will be seen as a Britisher or a colonial kind of a scenario where you hire and fire people according to your whims and fancies. So you have to update yourself and be contemporary and be humane. There are 4 subsystems of recruitment: finding out and developing the resources for shortlisting required number of candidates, developing suitable techniques to attract the desirable candidates, employing these techniques to attract the potential employees or the candidates. They cannot be employees. Once candidate becomes and gets selected, he will become the employee. Stimulating as many candidates as possible and asking them to apply for the jobs. And for all that, what you require is your positioning of the organization and your way of talking about the organization and your employer branding activity which you do in the social media, print media and electronic media. So let us now understand what are the sources of recruitment. You have a requirement, you have to recruit people. What are the sources? Internal sources. What are the internal sources? You will have 3 types of internal sources. One is transfer. By transferring some people from other places, you can fill in a vacancy. By promoting the existing employee to the position which is vacant, you can fill in the vacancy. And by getting referrals from the employees, say for example, employee X says that sir, I have my cousin who is seeking a job and who will be able to meet your requirements. Then you can interview the candidate, select the candidate and close the position. So that is how you will be doing that one. So there are internal resources or sources through which you will be recruiting people. There are external sources. Internal sources include your own employees on the roles of the company. And when you recruit people from within, you will have certain advantages and you will have certain disadvantages also. We will talk about it later on. But advantages is you will be having a high morale, because people will say that first of all, this organization will make all efforts to internally recruit people for the positions which are, and the employees will also feel that there is a career path. I cannot become a stagnant person in the same role. I can grow and my role can be given to some other below me, something like that. And there is a ladder through which people will climb to the top positions, and this is a continuous process. So, that is the kind of a thing. And sometimes you have certain positions which require reliability, dependability, trustworthiness. If you have internal candidates, you can get all of them, because you know them very well, you have been with them, they have been with the organization, they have been showing or visibly this kind of qualities like trustworthiness, dependability and reliability. So, that is important. And you know that there are some people who are qualified, overqualified, underqualified and things like that. It might happen in the process of selection. So, you will be able to match those things and do it. Let us understand the merits and demerits of internal resource. Merits will be employee motivation, employee loyalty will be enhanced, they are very cost effective because you can just hire them from within. It is a very simple process, time is reduced very drastically, time is the most precious resource, they are reliable. So, these are the merits. What are the demerits? Sometimes though the talent is available within, you can recruit them, but sometimes recruiting a fresh talent from outside with fresh perspective, fresh thinking, fresh ideas might add a vibration to the work culture of the organization. You must have two types of recruiting processes. One is internal and external, both put together. You must have parallel recruitment, I mean to say lateral recruitment from the employment market as and when you require. And one disadvantage with the internal recruitment is that there may be an element of favoritism, which may be favoritism expressed by the top positions, like head of a department would like to encourage his deputy. So, he would like to show some favoritism and recommend to the management, please consider him, like that. Okay. And sometimes this kind of selections will also lead to some conflicts. People may feel that I was not given, only X was given. Okay. And people will have likes and dislikes, like a supervisor may be having a like for some person who may not be filling the vacancy, but he would like to somehow recommend, or a person may be really good, but the supervisor does not like him, so he will not recommend him. So, this kind of internal organizational politics unnecessarily prevent the selection process to have a right kind of people. Intention is right kind of people at the right time for the right job at the right cost. So, if you want to meet these four requirements, you must have an admixture of both internal and external sources of recruitment. Now, let us understand external recruitment. You will understand the external recruitment is done through media advertisement. Today media, when it comes to media, you will have many things. In fact, electronic media, sometimes companies talk about their employer branding, they will not release advertisements in the electronic media, I mean to say news channels and things like that, but what they would do is that they would talk great about the company, about the products of the company or the services of the company through unique advertisements. And in the print media, they specifically advertise positions vacant, and in the social media, they keep on sharing the happenings in the organization, the highlights of the organization, success stories of the organization, how employees are feeling about the organization. There is a website called Glassdoor, where some organizations encourage people to post their comments about the organization, how they are perceiving the organization, and this kind of things you will be able to understand. Okay. And there is another source called direct recruitment, gate recruitment. For example, this is the kind of a recruitment which is required for contractual staff, sometimes are a staff which is operating in nature, casual callers, and there are some unsolicited applications which keep coming from various job seekers. So, you file them as and when you require, you watch them, you match them with the requirements and take them. There are labor contractors available who will be able to provide contract staffing, because they will be given entire responsibility of doing that kind of thing. You can provide walk-in interviews, online recruitment, then through the management consultants like headhunters and employee referrals. These are all the various ways through which you recruit people. There are disadvantages in the external recruitment also. Sometimes if the vacancy can be filled in by the internal resources, but you chose to go outside, then that will decrease the morale of the existing employees. Sometimes if you don't give equal opportunity to the internal candidates also to apply for the jobs which were notified in the external media, people might feel that they have been given a closed door kind of a scenario, where you have closed the doors for them to apply and grow in the organization. Okay. A proper evaluation of the newly hired employees might not have happened if the selection process is errant. I mean to say, sometimes the judgment of the people who are interviewing the candidate might go wrong. When it is internal candidates, the candidates have already proved it. So, sometimes in a typical job interview, the candidates will show the best of their qualities. The realities may be different. You might there are some people who give a fake exposure and a fake certificates, fake experiences and things like that. They may be very good in communicating, very articulate, but sometimes they may cheat also. So, we never know, but it is a balance which is really going to help organizations to run the recruitment and selection process in a better manner. So, what are the factors influencing your recruitment? There are internal factors like company pay package, quality of work life, organizational culture, work ethics, career planning, that for every position is there a career plan, what is the size of the company, what are the presence of the company, whether it is available only in Hyderabad or only in Delhi, only in Kanpur, or is it having pan India presence. Okay. What is the growth rate, how company is growing year after year. Okay. Do you have unionized activity where there is an unrest or strikes and lockouts? People don't want to join that kind of an organization because uncertainties. What is the cost of recruitment? It is also a factor which influence your recruitment process. The name and fame of the company in the market. These are all the internal factors. What are the external factors? The socio-economic factors. Suppose a company is producing a product which is universally applicable and enhancing the health of the employees or the consumers. I am sorry, when I say employees, the consumers. What will happen is that the image of the organization, the socio-economic status of the organization is seen in a different manner. Okay? That is one aspect. Other aspect is supply and demand factors. Suppose you are producing a product whose raw material is very scarce, highly very costly kind of a thing, but still you are producing that one by doing that. So, what will happen is the supply demand dynamics will impact the organization. So, the job seekers will look at the organization in a broader pair. For example, if you are asking the recruitment team to select a supply chain management professional or a general manager supply chain management, the supply chain management general manager candidate will see how difficult is the job, how easy is the job, can I do it well. He will have some understanding of kind of raw materials required for the job? Will I be under pressure if I take up this job? So, these are all the kinds of estimations, assessments candidates also make before applying for the job. Okay? The labor market, you know very well, how many skills are available, what skills are you requiring, whether they are available plenty or scarcely available, will you be able to get that one? These are all the various things, political, legal and government factors. Suppose there is a political factor which is involving that your company is one of the directors belonging to a ruling party member, okay, and the ruling party member will be able to create a kind of a market, a job market for the company with his influence and things like that, and as long as the member of the ruling party lives or stays on the board, the company will have benefits. Once he walks out, the company may be deprived of that kind of an advantage. So, whether it is politically, heavily politically influenced or neutrally influenced and things like that, people will have to see that one. Whether the company has got any litigations pending in various courts of law and any government strictures or punishments or penalties imposed by the governments, all these things people watch, people look at that, and you may not publish all of them in the websites, but when they have been reported in the newspapers, in the social media, today nothing can be hidden, everything is known. That whatever business you do, ultimate the reality is that your quality of the product. When the quality of the product is not up to the mark, whatever you do, whatever promotions you give will not be able to show. So, to talk about the quality of the work, invariably you have to talk about the organization, your people, your work processes, and these things these days quality audits are common. For every company there is a quality audit. So, the quality audit reports and the kind of certifications you have had will also be playing a role as an external factor. Last but not the least is the selection process. As I mentioned to you, when a person who is doing the selection is thorough about all these things, he will be able to select the right person out of that one. Selection process generally how it happens in many randomly rather universally applicable kind of a thing is that if for a position you will minimum seek 10 applications. Out of 10 you shortlist 3 or 5 or 3 applications, and 5 applications you can call it, 5 applicants you call for an interview, okay, and out of 5 applications you may select only 1, and that one will be the most appropriate one. It all depends upon the nature of the job, nature of the position and things like that. So, when you have good supply of talent, you can go by this kind of a thing. When the supply is very scarce, very limited, you have to go with even one person, and in that case you have to be more cautious. You should be able to spend more time with the candidate, then take a decision. So, the selection process is the key for the business of the organization. I mean to say, the business thrives based on the quality of selection process. All the best to you and hope you will get selected.